Welcome to HERO Brainshare Webinar Series. This is the learning space of choice of education leaders, school presidents, school owners, edtech companies, and HERO teachers. The greatest ascent of HERO Brainshare is to build a resilient community of education heroes ready to serve one another. Each brain sharer is an inspirer and account of hope for the community, especially in this time of pandemic. As a learning community, we learn from the best minds in education and in the edtech industry. We champion to offer solutions through collaboration, research, and partnerships. Brainshare invites you to look forward to the opening of Brainshare School, a high-field learning platform for education and industry leaders who aspires to quantum leap their calling and serve the humanity with a legacy of kindness and enlightenment. We change the world, one brain sharer at a time.
I had the honor to meet on the virtual community great minds in the education, technology, and research space. Today is no exemption. I have waited for these conversations with these two legendary education leaders serving us with their tenacious presence in the education, learning, and leading space. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me start by introducing first our esteemed guest today, who happens to be our woman on mission, Miss Rima Aristocrat. Watch this video. Good evening. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for this amazing introduction. And I have to say, good Saturday morning, Singapore and Philippines. I cannot tell you how excited I am here to be with you today, because in October, Canadian Embassy in Singapore invited me to be a keynote speaker on importance of education and skills training in cybersecurity, but I couldn't go. And here I am today without traveling 13 hours and sharing this amazing stage with my very best friend, Dr. Mansur Hasib. So thank you, Bryce, and thank you, HERO team, for inviting us.
It is an honor, Rima. I know that you're very busy, that all of this, changes that we're all facing had really made you busier, but you made time. You showed up and you are willing to support us. So the honor is definitely ours. Thank you so much, Rima.
Thank you.
We are all excited. We're all excited. I'm excited and nervous at the same time. I don't know why. There's a little butterfly in my stomach. But yeah, Rima, I'd like to engage you to this conversation, because I know our presidents, our school leaders, administrators, the members of the academic core would definitely benefit so much from your wealth of experiences leading the education space. So let me ask you my first question. I hope you don't mind me doing this. All right, okay. The academic community faces distraught in ensuring many things, such as students' engagement, being agile and responsive. What are the attributes academic leaders must have in this VUCA scenario?
Wonderful. Bryce, being a passion, normally I get to talk so long and I forget the time passes by. So I jotted a few things so I can stay on a target and not go over, because it's very important that Dr. Hasib has ample time for his portion. So leadership for me is a very important position, especially in education. Your business and your students' success depends on your ability to provide them with industry-led, job-ready skills training in order for the graduates to obtain lucrative careers and for them to see a return on their investment, because it is an investment for them. In fact, this I made it my mission when I became a 14th president and first female of Willis College almost 30 years ago. Leaders must have a clear mission in mind, must know what outcomes are they working for. I cannot tell you how touched I was that you started this session with a symphony, because for me, being a former concert pianist, I see leaders being conductors in a symphony. You don't necessarily have to know how to play each instrument, but you have to be able to lead, to create this beautiful music. Education leaders must realize the importance of collaboration between academia, industry, government, and the community. Importance of understanding labor market intelligence. I cannot talk enough about it. Importance of taking lead and talk to employers, understand what skill sets are they looking for so you can provide them job-ready graduates. Importance of incorporating industry-recognized certification, business skills, presentation skills, teamwork skills in their technical curricula. Because our industry is asking us that I need my employers to be able to talk to high-level enterprise clients, and I need you to teach them. Importance of implementing real-world experiences in a classroom. So they're not only learning how, but also why they're doing what they're doing. Importance of career development skills, like a resume writing or interview skills. Importance of hiring subject matter experts to design, develop, and deliver your programs. Importance of the mentorships, internships, and co-ops, and developing a placement department who will be looking after graduate success. Importance of the proper compensation. You need to compensate your team appropriately so they are happy and they'll stay with you a long time. Especially in a cybersecurity field, besides technical skills, it is important to implement cybersecurity leadership skill, and Dr. Hasib will talk more about it later on. Importance of becoming a talent pipeline for industry and government as well. Importance of being innovative, ability to evolve, we must evolve, and to have a business continuity plan in place in case of global pandemics like we are today in. Agility and the competency-based education are crucial in education today, especially in cybersecurity, where yesterday's news is today's old news. Willis College is a private career college, approved by the Ministry of Colleges University, but we're not funded by government. Unlike public education, they are funded by the government, so they have a little bit of luxury. And for us, being a business, you do or die. You don't have a luxury. Our students are adults. Most of them already have university degrees, and they are looking to go places where they can obtain up-to-date skills the shortest period at a time. Industry also coming to Willis, asking for us to become their pipelines, and because we are agile. When I asked the industry, I was surprised actually when Fortune 500 companies came to us. Why did you come to a private career college? Why didn't you go to universities? They said, we don't have a time. We need the agility. We needed somebody to work with us, develop the programs, write just in time, and work with the agile colleges. And so private career colleges are suited perfectly for that. We are also very mindful about engaging students. It is important to making sure that you enroll the students, that they have a strong desire to be successful. See, being a business, it doesn't mean that you have to fill up each seat. You need to be successful. And if your students are not serious about it, you're not going to be successful. See, private career colleges like Willis College, success is measured by our graduates' employment in related fields. No point that if students came, took a cybersecurity analyst program and working flipping hamburgers. It is therefore is very important that academic leaders do their due diligence to find out what skill sets are in demand and how can they bridge skills gap today. I must admit that I'm very limited in my cybersecurity knowledge. Most knowledge I acquired in cybersecurity is from my very good friend, Dr. Mansur Hasib, Dr. Cybersecurity himself. I'm thrilled and very grateful that he has joined tonight and to share with us his experience and expertise. Tonight's audience and your audience will benefit hearing from both leading private and public education who are practicing agility and the competency-based training and making this as a priority. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, of course, of course. I'd just like to catch the word, Willis College has, been so agile in capturing the needs of the industry. How did you start? Because my heart is all for higher employability results and opportunities. That's the very reason why HERO has been founded 3 years ago, just for that sort of reason, to concentrate, to give a voice for employability to really happen, and everybody will embrace it, at least from the academy. So how did you start as a Willis, as a school? What was the inspiration behind this?
So see, Willis is a 154-year-old college.
Mm-hmm.
They have seen many times when they had to be evolved. And what they have done very well, because we serve adults, not high school kids, and our adult graduates and the students are looking just-in-time training. We had to work with the labor market intelligence. We cannot develop or deliver program because it sounds sexy. It has to have an employability end of it. Willis was very successful when before I joined them, and provided and delivered some of the Canada's top talent in the business and healthcare, but they had a very limited knowledge in technology. So when I joined Willis College, I used that methodology I described, that you don't have to be a conductor to conduct the symphony. So I knew that technology was in place. That time Microsoft was so big and everybody was looking for MCSEs and software developers, oracles. So I went out and I talked to the employers and found out what was in need there. And then I hired people who were smarter than I was and paid them better than I was getting paid, and to making sure that we were delivering skills to our graduates that would serve them as a bridge. You cannot disappoint adults, especially I have a lot of immigrant population students. I'm an immigrant myself. And the last thing any immigrant needs is another disappointment, or anybody needs disappointment. So you have to do your due diligence. You have to really know what is your outcome, what is the mission, what are you working, and what is it that you wanted to achieve. So this is all ingredients for the success, and allowed us to develop Canada's leading and only cybersecurity academy right now, and not to mention our cybersecurity analyst diploma program is the only program in Canada recognized by Canadian and armed forces. So this is something that's very important for us. Also, having a leadership to take your programs to the subject matter experts. I invited Dr. Hasib, actually contracted him to take a look at our curriculum and let me know what is needed. So he was pleased most of the courses, but he said that I needed cybersecurity leadership courses. So of course, immediately we incorporated that leadership courses in our cybersecurity program. Not only we incorporated these courses, but he also trained our IT instructors to know how to deliver. So because we are business, you need to invest. You have to, you cannot be afraid of investing, because if you don't invest, don't expect outcome to be amazing.
Sure. I couldn't agree more. I mean, but what has changed, Rima? Like when you had all of this, this were all planned before the pandemic. But now that we have this pandemic, how have you changed in your strategies or in your approach?
So there is no denial that COVID-19 has affected everybody, including Willis College. One day when this is all over, we're all gonna get a t-shirt and say, been there, done it, and got a t-shirt.
I would like to wear that.
But you cannot look at this pandemic only negative side. It also has brought a lot of positive.
I agree.
People stayed at home and bonded with their families. Homestay allowed people to get used to a new norm. And people became kinder and gentler somehow.
Agree.
The global crises are mother of the invention, if you practice this correctly. I remember Dr. Hasib was encouraging me to go online 3 years ago, but pandemic pushed us to do just that. When pandemic struck, it was in March here in Ottawa, our students were on a March break 1 week. So we only had the 1 week to make sure that we transfer entire our business, healthcare, and the technology programs online, so that students did not lose 1 day. Our team worked tirelessly to do so. It was not easy, but we managed to do it. Now, talk about the leadership. That's where the leadership plays a big role. My business partner and the CEO, Henry Devlin, contacted me and he said, we have business continuity a program in place. And what we do need to do is to incorporate a Zoom. So we were going by Zoom to each and every hour staff members twice a week, and once a week to classrooms to talk to our students. We update them the progress. We ask them what their concerns were. And we remind them that we were all together in it. I cannot tell you the difference it made in our progress. People appreciate it, be kind, thoughtfulness, and learning to be connected. We also use that time that stayed home so our IT instructors to get updated, get certified, and develop the post-pandemic guidelines, the handbook in place. We are also, I have to also say that we are very proud as a business. We did not lay off anybody or cut anybody's salary. And for us, that meant a lot. Willis is now online. That would have taken time. And now we are allowed, and not allowed, but able to deliver our courses not only in Ottawa and Empire, but nationally and worldwide. So pandemic, if you use it properly, it's not a bad thing. You can find there's some solutions in it.
I couldn't agree more, Rima. I agree with you. I noticed, Rima, that you are very much involved with a lot of organizations, not just involved, but you founded them, most of them. What inspired you, or who inspired you to get to do what you do?
My mentor when I was growing up was my grandmother. And everything I ever done or do, it's examples, it's from her. My mission always been to make a difference in our community. It's not only important to take from your community, but you have to put back. Because one day your children and your grandchildren will inherit that community. And I thought, what can I do that would make a difference? And I said, okay, maybe I can put a drop in the ocean. Drop in the ocean means not much to the ocean, but it means a lot to me knowing that I was able to do something. Also being an immigrant myself, I had to establish Canadian Association of Immigrant Professionals because it was really making a difference or hurting me to see that my colleagues, professors or the teachers are washing the dishes and driving the taxis, which is nothing wrong with that either. But I was advising them to get up-to-date skill set and training shortest period of time because you don't need a university. You already have a university. So that allowed me to develop this association. 20 years ago, I was involved in Aboriginal communities and I realized that they were not connected and they were lacking some technical skills. And that's what gave a birth to the TechnoWave. TechnoWave today, in partnership with Willis College and some of the Aboriginal organizations, are doing an amazing job. We've trained over 500 homeless and abused women, First Nation, Métis, and Inuits, and we continue to do this. 3 years ago, working with the cybersecurity, question popped in my head and says, cybersecurity in education, do we even know who we're training? And at that time, veterans were entering in our classroom. Veterans are familiar with the offensive and defensive. They come with a secret clearance and they still wanted to serve their country. So they made a perfect candidate for cybersecurity analyst. So veteran-friendly transition program was born. I sit on many organizations and nonprofit organization as well. And Bryce, you know, I'm a huge advocate of elevating women, inspiring and empowering the women. I guess that's because I come from the family of 3 girls. I have 4 daughters and 4 granddaughters. So for me, it's go girls, go. I sit on INSECAM, another Quebec organization. I established $150,000 scholarships for women in technology and the military spouses. And 3 years ago, I examined my classrooms to find out that 98% were men. After reading cybersecurity leadership book, Dr. Hasib's book, watching his videos and sharing stage with him, I realized that cybersecurity is really a family-friendly career. And why is it that women are shy to go in this career when it's so lucrative and so beneficial? But I didn't know exactly the reason why. So VFTP and a Canadian organization approached Canadian defense and asked for a funding so we can conduct research to understand why women were not engaged in cyber defense. Willis College led the cybersecurity round table consultation. And the last consultation took place in Ottawa at Willis College, where our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, issued very personal video thanking Willis College and our partners and encouraging us to continue on this mission. I actually, I'm on the board of Elevate International, and every year they have events on the Parliament Hill. 2 years ago, Dr. Hasib was a keynote speaker at this event as well. And that's watching the reactions of the people. It's amazing. Ever since that, it became an annual event for us. So I'm looking forward to the March 2021, and hopefully your organization will be involved. They're putting this another event as well. Mm-hmm. See, I'm very lucky to work world's greatest minds like a Dr. Hasib, like Canadian organizations like IT World. I'm currently in collaboration with EC Council. They are world's largest industry certification providers, and so many more. I established public and private college partnerships with University of University of Ottawa and the Mindbridge, a leading organization in artificial intelligence, developing micro-credentials training. Since I have now handed operations to my partner, Henry, it gives me a little bit more time to do more. I'm semi-retired, but I think I still have a lot of desire to do something. So I'm excited to see what my next phase of life will take me and where it takes me. So, yes.
Wonderful. I'm just wondering, Rima, you mentioned that, of course, Willis College is a private college and there's no fund at all. So my question is, how are you pulling this out? How are you in the financial department? What are the things that you're doing to survive as a school right now? Because I know a lot of our our private colleges and universities also are in the ICU state, and we hear them complain. We hear their pain points at this time. Is there anything you can help us in this department, the financial side of it?
When it comes to the CFOs, CTOs, importance of the CEO cannot be undermined. That's where the leadership comes in. You as a leader have to understand the risk. What is the risk if you don't do this? You cannot be afraid of taking loans and borrowing money, because if you're not going to survive. So we did the same as everybody else. We borrowed money, but we know that in time we will be paying back. See, create ability for your team to come to you. If you treat them kindly, they'll come to you back and say, what can we do? And you have access to the incredible power, the knowledge. Your instructors are not only expertise in the areas they teach, and they have any other experiences as well. So when we got our team together, the brainstorm came out of this one is just amazing. It was incredible. So take a risk. Lead your people. If you're public education, you can depend on government supporting you. But if you are a private company, you have a very limited choices. And evolve in the speed of light. Do not sit and wait. See, Willis College is 154 years old. We really have the obligation to some of them, 4 generations of the same families come. We have obligation to our community. Evolving and pandemics, we've gone through probably many times. So we have a really resilient reputation, and we need to maintain that reputation. So depends what they are leading, what colleges are today, what they are willing to risk, and what they are going to lose if they don't risk it.
That's good. That's good. I'm down to my last questions, Rima, at least two. But I'd like to acknowledge one question from our audience right now, from our brain sharer. This is coming from Ernesto Spadilla. He's asking, Mom Rima, you mentioned that Willis College is involved in adult education. Do you think there will be a bridge between industry and academic, even in basic, to prepare potential for the employability skills?
In a business, it's always business opportunities. If you don't have the opportunities or the willing to collaborate, you're not going to succeed. Now that I have handed operations to my business partner, I'm receiving so many requests to collaborate, to partner, and I hand to my business partner who analyzes everything and looks at what's available and what we can do. Because in education, if it's a business of education, it has to be win-win for everybody.
Yes.
It's not, you have to be able to help people, you have to be able to be successful, but you also have to look at your bottom line. Because if you don't have funds for tomorrow, you're not going to succeed. So we evaluate one by one and responding to them immediately because we are agile. So it's my hope and my mission right now to continue business development. So if anybody has any desire or wants to propose something, I'm there. Ernesto, I'm there for you as well. And I'll do my best to see what and how we could make this happen.
Wonderful. Great, great. Rima, your courses and programs at Willis College are really, really relevant. I know that these programs will be job resilient careers, even in the face of pandemic. And I congratulate you for all of this. One that caught me though is the Cyber Analyst program. May I know how you got to this? Because you've been talking about, of course, you having a wonderful friend like Dr. Hasib. Can you please tell us how you actually got into this program?
We take a look at the labor market intelligence and demand. You see that you read it every day from Forbes magazine to every magazine, the shortages the world is experiencing. That means you now have the ability to create a program that your graduates will be employable. Another attribute another factor that helped us to put this program together was that Fortune 500 companies from Israel, from UK, from US came to us with the ask that, could you become our talent pipeline? So we sat down with them and they flew their subject matter experts, professional resource directors from New York, from California, from different places. And they said, okay, here is what we have. Here is what Willis has. Here is what we need and nobody has. So we had to develop it together. But because we are a ministry approved college, we had to send that for approval. That created opening of developing the program. And of course, 3 years ago when I met Dr. Hasib, his influence, his guidance, and his is my mentor, as of even today, every day, is my mentor, allows us to keep up to date what's important and what do we have to change without a changing timeline. Don't want it to program who's the 2 or 3 years old, 3 years takes. That's for universities. We need to be agile. We need to provide talent to our partners within the timeline. Another factor that really was beneficial for us when Canadian Armed Forces went out to all the education in Canada, public, private colleges, universities, they were looking to see the curricula each of them developed because they wanted to develop cybersecurity operators national occupation code. Willis, like everybody else, submitted our program outline, and we were the only college that got recognized by 98%. That was a testification for us that we were on the right track. We were doing the right thing. And again, engage employers. Ask them what they're looking for. Hire the subject matter experts. Design, develop, lead them, pay them well. It's so important because you want the best costs. Yeah. Have mentors, leaders, and who can be better leader and mentor for us, the Dr. Cybersecurity himself. So we were very fortunate to have him in our corner.
Yes. I couldn't thank you enough, Rima, for all of this. Before I let you go, before you get your beauty rest, I know that you celebrated a special occasion this June. You turned 18 this June.
Oh, you're good!
Yes. And we would like, I know this is a post-celebration as far as the date is concerned, but to us, you are a gift to this humanity, and I'd like to honor you. I'd like to sing you a wonderful birthday song. We prepared a birthday cake for you.
So oh my goodness!
Everybody in the room is singing for you. Join us, everyone. All right. Rima, you are wonderful. Thank you so much. I really thank you.
Thank you so much. Wow, I have been awarded many things, but I never had anybody singing happy birthday.
So this is history. This is history. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm very, very honored and grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. All pleasure and honor from our end, Rima. Thank you so much. Regards to our Willis College family. I see Ranchit joining us here, and everyone, thank you so much. Hopefully we can see you soon in Ottawa, and we award you this wonderful distinguished award, being the only Optimus Hero awardee in Canada. So
thank you. Very, very grateful. God bless. God bless.
God bless. Thank you. There you have it, dear brain sharers. What a wonderful conversation. I am inspired, coming from her heart, and all the way from Ottawa, Canada. Thank you so much. All right. This is really making me nervous, ladies and gentlemen, and really equally excited. I would like to introduce to you the mentor of Miss Rima, and the very reason why we understand and we are, we have the word cybersecurity at this time when it comes to this leadership platform. So let me introduce our esteemed guest speaker today, Dr. Mansur Hasib. Watch this video, please.
Dr. Mansur Hasib designed and launched the award-winning $117 million global online cybersecurity degree programs. In 2017, Dr. Hasib was named a rock star of cybersecurity and presented him an electric guitar along with the America's Information Security Leadership Award for leading the implementation of the Master of Science in Cybersecurity Technology degree program at a major university to serve almost 5,000 students globally. In 2018, the Global Cybersecurity Observatory based in Europe inducted Dr. Hasib into the Hall of Fame. In 2019, SC Magazine awarded Dr. Hasib's program Best Cybersecurity Higher Education Program in the USA for the second year in a row. Recently, Dr. Hasib was awarded the 2019 Outstanding Global Cybersecurity Leadership Award at the ICSIC 2019 conference held in Toronto, Canada. Dr. Hasib also won the 2017 Cybersecurity People's Choice Award and the 2017 Information Governance Expert of the Year Award. In 2013, as a part of his doctoral work, Dr. Hasib conducted a national study of the United States healthcare cybersecurity and published the book, Impact of Security Culture on Security Compliance in Healthcare in the USA, and became one of the first few in the world to earn a Doctor of Science in Cybersecurity.
Wow. I am with a rock star, ladies and gentlemen, and it's just an honor to be sharing this virtual stage with Dr. Hasib right now. I have heard so many great things about him, and I am nervous, but I am glad that this day is here, so we can finally get this done. We can be done with this. But we are so happy, Dr. Hasib, that you are here with us, all the way from DC. Thank you. Wonderful.
Absolutely.
How are you?
Pleasure and honor to be here. I have never been introduced in such a beautiful way, and I've never been preceded by such an amazing speaker and dear friend who is almost like my sister from another set of parents. I mean, her leadership and mentality is just so amazing. And she has always wanted to do the right thing for the students. And you saw how that came about. She wanted to do the right thing. She didn't have to update all the programs or hire me and let me review her programs and talk about this, but she wanted to give quality to her students. It's not about just making money. We will always make money if the quality is there. So I really appreciate this opportunity to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
The honor is ours, Dr. Hasib. Thank you so much. Dr. Mansur. All right. Doc, I'd like to start asking you this question. You are a rock star in the cybersecurity world, and you have led modern organizations in this space. What is the best way to define cybersecurity for the sake of all of us?
Yeah, isn't it funny that is really the important place to start? Because if you don't define the word, everything else will be wrong. So let me define it. It has been defined in the book extensively, but the most important thing is that I have led digital strategy for several organizations for the past 30 years. In education, healthcare, biotechnology, and energy. I am really brand new to academia. And there was a special reason why I came to academia, and maybe we can talk about that later. But the key thing is that in my 30 years, I never did anything without focusing on the mission. When I worked for a nuclear power plant, my job as a digital strategist and a cybersecurity strategist was to make sure that nuclear power plant safety was paramount, nobody died, no accidents happened, and they were able to conduct their business, because what we were doing is transforming an organization from paper-based records to the electronic age. We did the same thing in healthcare, we did the same thing in biotechnology, we did the same thing in education. So the key is always focusing on the mission, and the strategy will be different. Would I be doing the same thing for the nuclear power plant as, say, a healthcare organization? Absolutely no way, right? So that's the first thing. Second, you notice Rima talked about the governing, the leadership. We must govern. That is key. Without that executive leadership and governance, so what must be governed for? We must govern for a perpetual innovation culture. Right? Any organization that is stagnant is basically a dead organization. It's a matter of time. So cybersecurity is really not a state, but it is the process of perpetual innovation. This is a built-in aspect of cybersecurity. So the people that equate cybersecurity with security alone are doing it wrong, because security is a state and security does not exist. There is no such thing called security. It was a decent term in the 1990s, and there's a model for that. And in my book, I explain that evolution from 1990 to right now, where we now have cybersecurity, which is the process of perpetual innovation. So who does perpetual innovation? Innovation doesn't come from machines. It comes from the human brain. So think of cybersecurity in a simple term as people-powered perpetual innovation. So now, if you view it that way, then what does cybersecurity become? It becomes a productivity and a revenue driver. In my 30 years of leading digital strategy, cybersecurity in organizations, what was I doing? I was making big time money for these organizations through that strategy. If you don't do that digital strategy properly, your business is going to die because somebody else is going to take you over. So you just talked about the programs that I built. Yeah, those programs were tiny. The $117 million annual revenue, do you know what it was when I started it? It was about 30 million. From there, I took it to 117 million, but I also did it by paying ethically, paying good compensation. My faculty were among the highest paid and the most qualified, because if I want to put a quality program together, I cannot hire cheap faculty and I cannot look at them as an expense. They're not an expense, they're the investment. They are the people who are going to build my future leaders, the students. And once the students are satisfied, guess what? I won't need to advertise, I will just bring them. I spent $0 on advertisement. So that is the other key thing. Thinking of cybersecurity as a productivity. Now, the third thing, just like any normal business, every organization must develop a risk profile. So that's where that cybersecurity risk management comes in, right? This is not security, this is risk management. I might have 30 different issues I have to fill. I might have to do business continuity plan, disaster recovery plan, all these things. Which one am I going to do first? Right, so I have to have a continuum. And so I must make conscious decisions on the risks. What am I going to do this year? So whenever I did this, I had 5-year, 10-year plans. And then based on the priority and the sign off by the executive leadership, we would handle the risks by, first of all, mitigating some risks, transferring some risks. Some risks are avoided because we choose not to do something. So we avoid the risk. And then some risks, we figured that the mitigation costs may be higher, or we can afford to take this risk, just like a business, right? Business do that all the time. So from that, you can see that cybersecurity is actually a business discipline. So if somebody comes to it from a computer science or a very, very technology focused background, and all they're looking to do is technologically fix everything, they're going to fail miserably, and that is part of the problem. And so this is key. So mission, governance, and risk are the foundations of discipline. Now, the discipline, you have probably heard of the CIA triad, which is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Well, confidentiality simply means that information is accessible to authorized people and not accessible to unauthorized people. Now, the authorized people, unauthorized people could be inside the organization. They don't have to be outside the organization, right? So that's the key thing. Second thing, the information must be true. It must have integrity. Why? Because I will be making decisions based on that information. So flawed information or information that has no integrity or truth will result in me making wrong decisions that could be deadly for the organization, right? Then availability has to be there, which means that the information must be available as planned, from the locations planned, and for the duration planned. For example, I might decide I don't want this information to go outside of the Philippines or Singapore or say United States or whatever, right? I might decide I don't want this information available during the weekends. So as planned and for the duration plan, this has to be done, you see? So, and then how do we do this? I talked about the people first. People are the most important. If you don't have people, what's going to happen? They're going to choose the wrong technology. right? Who's going to configure the technology if you don't have people? So 3 tools are used. People are the most important. Then you have to have policy. These are the rules of the road, governance. And then finally, technology. So 3 tools: people, policy, technology. And as I said before, you must improve perpetually. Now, the formal definition, this is the model that I just explained to you. The formal definition, this is the way I've defined it in the book, and you will see it. And basically, it is: cybersecurity is the mission-focused and risk-optimized governance of information, which maximizes confidentiality, integrity, and availability using a balanced mix of people, policy, and technology, while perennially improving over time. One single sentence, but it captures the entire essence of the model that I just explained.
Right. Wonderful. You know, listening to this definition, I know a lot of our leaders right now are like starting to take note and say, do I have this in my organization? Now, what is the role of cybersecurity in our organizations, in our modern schools, in our modern organization?
Well, again, you have to look at it as what? As an innovation driver.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the very first thing is, and you have to tailor according to the mission, right? Yes. No 2 schools are the same. What
Correct.
level?
That's right.
What university? Is this a college? Is this a global college? Mm-hmm. Or is it a limited? So therefore, the first thing is to hire qualified people.
Qualified people.
Number 1.
Okay.
All right. Sometimes you will have a hard time finding the qualified people if your salaries are not competitive to the marketplace. So qualified people cost money. You heard Rima talk about that. So you cannot have CFOs artificially determining the salary and say, this is all we can afford to pay. No, you are trying to develop strategy in a field where there are very scarce resources. So you have to get the qualified people first. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you will have them fresh out of college. So many of my master's degree graduates right now are very qualified people. Mm-hmm. Okay. But what happens is that many companies are looking for qualified people. They want to say entry-level salary, but they're saying, oh, but you also have to have 5 years experience. I've actually had many of my graduates not get job interviews. And I said, that is ridiculous. You have the right knowledge. The people who are experienced or whatever may be experienced in the wrong thing. Because there are too many people that have 20 years experience that never updated their skills. See, I have to update my skills also in cybersecurity. I was doing information technology, strategy, all that, but I didn't have a doctoral degree and I didn't know the literature, I didn't know the models, I didn't know the transition of that whole discipline from 1990 to today. Many people are still using 1990s strategy. So that is the problem. So you will need qualified people who will figure out what is your mission, what are you trying to do in this particular school, what is your goal, and then develop the strategy. You might need consulting help who to mentor some of your people. So I've done some things. So Rima talked about the courses. Well, guess what? I could have taught those courses, but that would never scale. For me to teach for every university would never scale. So what did I do? I prepared the materials and actually groomed the professors that she designated who would teach the courses, and I mentored them and I provided them consulting help to get them ready. Now I haven't talked to them probably in 2 years, but I talk to Rima all the time, but they're teaching, they're successful. The students are successful. So this is the key, you see? Because if you don't have the people, they will never develop the right policy. So first people, strategy, then you have to develop the policy. How are you going to develop the policy? Who are you going to also hire? And then build that culture of perpetual innovation, because these people also have to train the rest of your organization. So when I was doing this for multiple organizations, I didn't just implement the strategy or the technology or whatever. I spent 80% of my time, energy, and money on educating everybody who was going to use it. Because without that education, the power of technology is not unleashed. You see, the power of technology is not the technology itself, but by what it does to the humans that choose to use that technology properly. See?
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mansur. I have the president of Our Lady of Perpetual Succor College to come in with a video question.
Okay.
Dr. Maida Samaniego.
Good day to my very dynamic dear friend, Dr. Bryce. A warm welcome to all participants in today's HERO Brainshare webinar. And a good day, Dr. Mansur Hasib. With the pandemic caused by the COVID-19, cybersecurity has become more relevant for many people, and more so in the educational sector as we all shift to online instructional delivery. The transition and actual implementation are already challenges for us in itself, and to top it all, there are cybersecurity issues that we are not even prepared for. My question is, how can we brace ourselves, or to term it properly, secure and keep us safe from cyber threats in the context of online school operations, transactions, and especially instruction? Another question is, what are the anticipated cyber threats for schools? So I hope you will be able to help us on these questions.
Thank you very much for that question. And actually, that's a question that many people will have. However, notice what I said before, that we often worry about the threats. And the threats for almost all organizations are similar. But you also notice how Rima's organization went to online. She relied on her people. She had already had the people. So one of the first things is we must focus on running the organization without worrying about the threats so much first. The first question is, am I going to be able to do this as a proper strategy? Remember that there should have been a disaster recovery or business continuity plan already. And if it wasn't there, it is very hard for any organization to just suddenly jump into a very secure environment if you hadn't planned it. So ideally, if it is too late, hire some people. If you don't have the people already, hire consultants who can groom your people. Because once again, you cannot hire consultants to come and do your thing and then go away. No, it has to be sustained as a culture. So only way to sustain as a culture is to develop your people. Okay? And so if you don't have the people in your org chart, then that is a big problem. The other thing is all your executives. They all need to be educated in cybersecurity leadership. So some of the concepts in the book that I've shared, everybody needs to at least read that book and get what is in there, what needs to be done. There's a whole cookbook of what every organization needs to do. You see, so it's not just about worrying about the threats, because threats are constantly going to change. And if you are only dealing with the threat that is coming in today, and then tomorrow there's going to be a different threat, what are you going to be doing? You're going to be doing this, and basically you're going to be very uncomfortable. It's like swatting mosquitoes. Whereas my recommendation is have a screened environment so you don't swat the mosquitoes all the time.
Thank you, Dr. Hasib. You mentioned this in your book. You talk about ethical leadership and why, I like that part when you mentioned it and you explained this. I'd like you to share why is ethical leadership very important?
Absolutely. So ethical leadership is essentially the principle of sharing the fruits of success or the profits of an organization with the people who created that profit. Essentially, it is the foundation of capitalism. Because if you think about the promise of capitalism, what is it? I work hard, I should get to enjoy the benefits of my success. If I'm bringing in tons and tons of money to the institution, I should be rewarded. There should be some compensation that is proportional to my contribution to the organization, right? So that is the foundation. That is the key principle of ethical leadership. You notice one of the things that Rima talked about, and one of the reasons that Rima and I are so good friends, she has never laid off people. I never laid off people in my 30 years of running companies. Because once you lay off people, what are you telling them? You're telling them, I will stay with my job, but you won't stay with my job, and you are dispensable. Well, guess what? I can never succeed without my people. If my people know that they're comfortable in the sense that that as long as they're doing the job. Now, that doesn't mean that I never fired people. I absolutely fired people who were unethical, who did the wrong thing or didn't do the job. But if people were doing the job they were assigned and they're giving me their innovation and their allegiance, why would I discard them with this? I mean, every human being, every employee is actually what? My profit center, right? Because every person produces more money than they're paid. That is how we make profit. Any company's profits come from the difference between what somebody produces and what they get paid, right? If I produce $117 million worth of revenue and I get, let's say, 150,000 theoretically, what has happened? Somebody made all this profit, right? Now, is it ethical for some big administrators to be taking all that profit and giving me nothing and from time to time laying me off? No, that's not ethical leadership. And actually, those kinds of things are disastrous for the companies, right? Yeah. And this is what happens. And most often companies don't realize that as soon as you have a layoff, you will also lose revenue because everybody has a sphere of influence, right? People don't come just because of the name of a university. They often come because of the brand of a professor or what they're going to learn. They understand, they see the graduates of that program and the leadership and the mentorship that they were given. So that is the key thing about ethical leadership. Ethical leadership is a very, very sacred thing that has to exist. And think about executives. Be loyal to them, right? Yeah. Be ethical. All right. If you as an executive are not ethical, how come you're expecting everybody else to be ethical, right? So this is the key of ethical leadership. We need to have ethical leadership because otherwise it reduces loyalty and innovation. If I'm afraid of being laid off, I will never innovate. I will hold back my allegiance, my innovation, waiting for my next company where I'm going next, right?
But things have changed this time when it comes to this kind of layoff, considering the layoff scenarios. There are a lot of organizations right now who really had to do massive layoffs, Doc, just because of the pandemic. They are left with no choice. What can you comment on this? Absolutely.
Well, remember, the layoff, if a layoff ever happens, it is because the executives failed to plan for the disaster. Okay? So don't lay off the people. Lay off the people who did not plan. Why don't you lay off the CEO? Why don't you lay off the CEO? They make a whole lot more money, and actually they don't bring any money at all. They don't produce anything. Okay?
Yeah, I agree, Dr.
But what I'm saying is that this is what the boards need to, whoever is in charge, somebody is in charge of the CEOs. It is the CEO and the CFO's job to do business continuity disaster recovery planning, to make sure that that risk is not there. If your company ever goes to a situation where you have to lay off people, guess what? First, lay off the chief financial officer and the CEO. And you will actually save the company. This actually happened in some cases because the real people who are producing the profits are the people in a university, for example. A typical president does not produce any of the profits. It is the faculty member, it is the program chairs, they are producing the profit. If you lay them off, guess what? You will have to also cut programs. If you cut programs, where is your revenue coming from? So you must think of it that way. Every time you lay off people, you're actually reducing revenue. I'll give you a very simple example. The university where I was doing that $117 million program actually did have a layoff. They had a massive layoff in October. They decided to lay off all their faculty because they thought they would renegotiate the contracts and maybe have a fewer program chairs and all that. Well, guess what happened? That 117 million program today has come down to 30 million again. You see? So layoffs are not the answer. The answer is hire the executives who will never cause that situation to occur where you have to have a layoff. I ran organizations for 30 years without a layoff because I planned for disasters. So this kind of a scenario, I always plan for that. We plan for pandemics. We plan for not just pandemics, we plan for a bomb striking a city.
Yes.
And if you are not doing that, why are you in an executive position?
Right.
No, there is absolutely no reason to lay off people. I don't believe in that. That just means that you didn't plan properly. So for example, universities, if they're laying off people right now, that means they probably didn't plan for online.
Right.
I'm with the university right now. We have on-ground classes. That was what planned. Half of the term was done online. The students did not miss a beat. I actually taught 75 students in 3 courses this term. Not a single student failed. And I got a 4.91 out of 5 in my evaluation. And they actually even said that even when we went online, Dr. Hasib taught us in such a way that we didn't miss a beat. And they did not, because in these video conference technology environments, I made them do presentations. I made them do collaborative work. We had question and answer discussions, all that. I conducted lectures, live lectures, just like I'm talking with you. So you see, it is up to me to make that entertaining and interesting. Rima's university, the college, went online within a week, right? So it is all possible. And again, you have to have the people. If you start laying off people, you lay off one person, guess what? You will start to lose some of your best people immediately because everybody is going to be worried because nobody wants to have a situation where they are laid off without much notice.
Yes.
Right? So this was actually one of the things that pissed me off with my previous organization because the layoff was conducted in a crazy way.
It also hurts the brand, definitely.
Hurt the brand like crazy because the students stopped talking about the university also. You see, because once they saw that, oh my God, my professor, the people who mentored me, they're just basically being discarded like this. Who is left? Right? The professors are the brand.
Exactly. Dr. Mansur, I have Sister Merceditas Ang, the president of St. Paul University, with another question.
Good evening, Dr. Hasib. It is morning here in the Philippines.
Good morning.
Indeed, you are the globally multi-awarded Doctor of Cybersecurity. We are honored to have you with us through this webinar. The concepts and principles on cybersecurity leadership that you have written in your books and explained in your talks are truly vital to any institution today. I believe in the importance of mission and strategy, people engagement, ethical leadership, risk management, and perpetual innovation that you have mentioned. With this new normal, many schools are engaged into technology and digital transformation. So here's my question. What takeaways or key points would you like to emphasize regarding cybersecurity leadership that can accelerate the digital transformation of a school and any other organization?
Absolutely. So one of the things that you heard, that even Rima mentioned this, it's cybersecurity leadership, this whole concept in education. As you implement this, the entire educational system, I believe, should be competency-based, because you notice that that's one of the things that Rima was talking about also, competency-based education. In other words, the student must be employable. So part of the reason that I was able to do the cybersecurity leadership program in the way that I did was because I have 30 years of experience in the industry. So I know what industry needs. I am not an academic where I did my bachelor's degree, master's degree, doctoral degree, and went into teaching and never really did the practical work. See, I was a chief information officer for 12 years. So the thing is that cybersecurity leadership basically means you teach the concept of ethical leadership is profitable for business. So you see in MBA schools right now, they don't teach you this concept. They may teach you ethics, they may teach you leadership as concepts, but they never tie the fact that ethical leadership is profitable for business. So if you ever read my book, you will read the story of Southwest Airlines, which is actually one of the airlines that has never had a layoff. Okay? They have been profitable since 1976. So I chose that purposefully. And their CEO wrote a book about how they did that. So think of cybersecurity leadership as the digital strategy, and it is people focused, innovation focused. So that leadership has to be done with an embrace of values. Okay, and one of the key values is integrity, perpetual innovation, teamwork, communication skills, all these skills that Rima talked about. So she's already doing some of that. I think she is a good model of how cybersecurity leadership could permeate the academic program of any institution.
Thank you for that, Dr. Hasib. May I have a follow-up question?
Absolutely. I'm here. It's totally up to you.
Regarding employability index, what helpful tips can you share to us to integrate cybersecurity leadership in the alignment of academic goals and the job readiness and competencies of our graduates, underscoring the values, work ethics, resiliency, soft skills, and hard skills of our graduates, so as to facilitate the school survival during this new normal and the employability of the graduates despite the disruption in the labor market today?
Absolutely. I think that if you just include this one course, cybersecurity leadership, you will have a groundbreaking program. That was the difference that Rima's college made. She is the first college, actually first educational institution in the entire Canada that actually adopted my book and course in their curriculum. So it basically made them a groundbreaking offering. So, and then she was smart enough, she also then invited me to talk about what is cybersecurity leadership, because she needed our community to know about this. So she talked about that Women's Leadership Conference. I actually went there and talked about that, because see, most educational institutions are not teaching cybersecurity leadership. That is part of the problem. They are teaching technology, and that's it. And they think that is cybersecurity. Without the leadership component, nothing else will work. You just add that, you include my book in your curriculum, and you will automatically have a groundbreaking program. That's it. And that will be your, what do you call that, distinguishing characteristic. That will be the way you can sell. You can sell that. That is the only, you are the only institution that has this. And that will permeate all your programs, okay? It doesn't matter what program you're teaching, because you teach education, finance, marketing, it doesn't matter. Cybersecurity leadership is required in every kind of organization today, right? Every organization is digital. So if you're going to make even journalists, they need technology and cybersecurity leadership. So it doesn't matter what you're doing, right? I did this in education, biotechnology, healthcare, energy, right? So I know it is done in every field. So think about all your disciplines. You're sometimes teaching them leadership, but why not change that leadership course to a cybersecurity leadership course and modernize it? Right? You may be teaching ethics, but teach them that ethics is profitable for business. Now they're going to make a connection. All of those principles are in the book.
All right. Thank you, sister. Thank you for your question. Thank you also for that wonderful sharing, Dr. Hasib.
Absolutely.
You were talking about culture defining behaviors. Our cultures defining behaviors. And you said this, and I like it. Now, my question is, what can we do as leaders in reshaping the culture? Because given that it's obvious that there are an extreme manifestation of bad behaviors in the cyber world at present.
Right. So this is why I have also mentioned that the concept of leadership. So you see that in the chapter 2 of my book, where I talk about value-driven leadership, right? Because as soon as I, as a leader, embrace certain values, I can also make my entire organization embrace those values. I can then hire according to those values. I can live those values. Now, I have shared, I believe, 6 values in my book. Do you have to have all 6? If you want 3, that's okay. It doesn't matter. You can still create a culture around a set of values, because culture starts with values. If you think about even countries have values too. That's how an entire country can have a culture, right? Then culture is reinforced through rituals. You have various rituals, birthday celebrations, Employee of the Week award, Innovation award, things like that. You have heroes. You celebrate some people who live the culture, and then you have a social network. So those are the 4 elements of culture. But the first thing are the values. So if you embrace those values and you drive those values through the whole company, I actually learned this when I was myself trying to figure out, how does a CEO of a company run a company with 250,000 employees globally? So I was talking to CEO after CEO after CEO, because cybersecurity leadership, this whole concept of leadership and running organizations, is one of my favorite topics. So I was trying to figure out what makes organizations successful. That's how I also met the CEO of Southwest Airlines at that time. I heard a talk, I got his book, signed copy, and I was like floored with that whole concept of how ethical leadership is profitable for business. So what I learned is every one of these CEOs that are successful choose some set of values, and they drive those values through every layer of that organization. That's how they hire, that's how they onboard, that's how they do the annual training, everything. And then people that are not living the values, guess what? They're let go. For example, in my organization, for the 30 years that I ran, integrity was paramount. I never fired somebody for making a mistake. But if I caught somebody lying to me or not doing the work and then lying, say I'm okay if they are not doing the work and whatever happened and that they told me honestly, okay, I made a mistake, I did this and I didn't do the work. But I have actually caught employees where they're saying they did it, where I can see that they didn't do something. So those kinds of things, there would be repercussions. I used to weed them out. The people that lied, people that didn't do the work, could not succeed in my organization. But the people that did the work, Boy, I love them, and I made sure they had fun coming to work, because that is another key thing. Fun has to be the culture, because the human brain, if you're having fun, what happens? You got all kinds of good chemicals flowing through your body. Guess what those good chemicals are going to do to your brain? Inspire, right? But if you're stressed, on the other hand, what happens? You got very, very bad chemicals flowing through your brain, your body, you're under stress. Guess what? Your mind starts to shut down, your innovation starts to shut down. You will hear the term amygdala hijack. Actually, in my book, I talk about that. When employees are under stress, that means they're permanently in that amygdala hijack condition. They will never innovate. You're getting 30 to 50% of their brain. Personally, I want 150% of their brain. So I spent a lot of time making sure they were happy. Sometimes when I could sense that maybe they were having some financial trouble or likely to have some financial trouble, I would try to figure out how to solve this problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We don't need cortisol. We don't need these cortisols in the workplace.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Okay. I have another friend coming in for a wonderful question, Dr. Hasib. Okay. Rose Landicho is coming from the hotel and tourism industry, and at the same time academe. Hi, Rose.
Hello. Hello, Dr. Hasib. Welcome to the Philippines.
Well,
and welcome to Batangas. Yes, because I'm representing Batangas today. And thank you. Dr. Hasib, I'm very honored to be sharing the virtual space with you right now, and also representing my organizations. As Bryce have said, I'm connected with hotel, but right now I'm wearing my hat as the Marcom executive for our school. It's Faith Colleges. Faith means First Asia Institute of Technology and Humanity, to put it out there. And you mentioned earlier about your principle about not laying off people, and I think that our organization is because, as you can see, Dr. Hasib, when 2020 came in, Batangas was hit by a disaster when the volcano erupted. And a few weeks after the volcano finally calmed down, COVID kicked in and went into full speed. So it was a disaster after disaster for us. The thing that our chairman did was he wanted to secure his people. He wanted to secure us, the employees. And I think that is where our alignment comes in. And you should take care and preserve your people. Because if you don't have people, then what is there? What brand do you have? What is there to sell? What is there? So yes, so I totally agree with you, and I am so lucky because I'm working in this organization today. I am very privileged to have that kind of organization and to have that kind of leader. So I would just like to put out the question, although you don't want to give us more details, I would like to find out, how can we create leaders and how can we transform the leaders that we have right now so that they will embrace ethical digital transformation, especially now that we are all being forced to go into the digital space or the digital world. How can we make people understand technology is actually should be used with a heart? How can we make people understand that high tech is actually high touch?
Yeah, so you actually touched upon the most key principle, which is leadership. See, leadership is not taught as leadership. One of the biggest problems that I found, because I was trying to figure out why are universities and programs teaching leadership wrong? Because I saw many books talking about, oh, you have this style of leadership and that style of leadership, and you have to have these 20 different characteristics. And oh, by the way, you got to have charisma and all that. And I'm thinking, well, I was never born with charisma, so maybe I'm not a leader, right? But the thing about leadership is very simple. Leadership is the simple knowledge to help other people succeed. So I'll give you a very simple example. If I go to my child's elementary school and I need to go to the restroom, I don't know where the restroom is, but the child probably knows. I ask the child, honey, where's the restroom? She takes me to the restroom. Is that an act of leadership? She just helped me fulfill a goal. Of course, it's an act of leadership. So what charisma did that child need? What characteristics did that child need? No, that child only needed information or knowledge that I did not have. Well, we need to create leaders out of everybody in the organization, you see? So that leadership mentality, leadership is a mentality. So that leadership mentality has to be cultured, and we have to teach leadership the right way. And we have to make a distinction between leadership and management. They are not the same thing. Management is interested in process. They will often even tell you how to do something. Most often, I don't tell people how to do something, because if I'm hiring an expert, the worst thing I can do is tell them incorrectly how to do something. Right? If I'm hiring an expert, I want to give them the objective, and then I want to use their brain, their innovation, their excitement to get me to that goal. So leaders are interested in the goal. So how did Southwest Airlines succeed? How is your organization succeeding? You see, because your leadership already made this announcement that they're going to embrace everybody, I am sure every one of you are thinking, how can I make money for the organization? How can I innovate? What improvement can I do? This is what Southwest Airlines did. When that 9/11, 2001 happened, that big issue here, every airline was shut down and everything. Guess what? Southwest was the only airline that didn't lay off anybody, and yet they made a profit after that quarter, which is amazing, right? They even gave bonus. So they also have a profit sharing plan. So guess what happens? There's not enough employee turnover because the employees want that profit sharing plan. And guess what happens if you have the ethical leadership and profit sharing? You have allegiance, you have creativity, you have that constant innovation going on. The other thing that you have are people to buy your products. You see, employees are also consumers, right? So if you don't pay your employees ethically, where they cannot even afford to buy your own product, what are they going to do? They're not going to produce for the economy. So this is all great for the business, because if you think about when only say 1% of the population or 10% of the population can consume, the economy starts to stifle. When a big chunk of the population, 70, 80%. So my bachelor's degree is in economics. So I kind of understood this part also. So that is why when I entered the cybersecurity realm, I entered it from this understanding of humans and how profits are actually produced by people, right? If I don't have the right people, if I don't have the people, if I don't have the allegiance of the people, I can never have a successful company. It is very simple.
Thank you. Thank you for
so
that.
much. Thank you, Bryce, and thank you, Dr. Hasib.
Appreciate you, Rose. Thank you. All right. One question coming from one of the brain sharers, Dr. Hasib, is this. Quality is never cheap. This is coming from Dr. Cynthia Kiambao from Tarlac State University. We are preparing educators and students cognitively, but what about the emotional needs as they're engaged in the cyber world? Can you please help us with some tips on this concern? On the emotional preparation.
Emotional preparation. Yeah, so emotional preparation actually, in that whole concept of cybersecurity leadership, that emotional preparation is also there because we are teaching them leadership principles. So Rima talked about the things. Well, actually, in the programs that I developed, all of those components are there. The teamwork, being able to work with others, okay? That comes from emotions. You have to be able to create the friendships, the relationships, because it doesn't matter what you do today, You're going to be doing things in teams. Then leading people, getting that allegiance out of them, that mentality, getting that loyalty, they're getting their innovation. So emotions are very important because emotions actually create innovation. Remember the thing that I just talked about, where if my people are happy, guess what? Their brains are functioning at 150%. But if my people are not happy, so that emotional component is not being satisfied, then guess what? They're not going to produce. So this has to be built into the culture. We have to teach people what true leadership is all about. That true leadership is not just working on the skills. So human productivity, there are actually 4 elements to human productivity. And that is the CASH model. And that is also in my book, which is knowledge, attitude, skills, and habit. CASH, K-A-S-H. Okay. Knowledge and skills, they do produce productivity, but attitude and habits are where a leader has the most influence. I, as a leader, cannot just create skills in someone that easily, but I can create attitude by providing a great environment. I can also create great habits by creating a culture. And guess what? It has been shown that if someone's attitudes and habits are good or excellent, the knowledge and skills are automatically going to come, because a passionate person is going to keep learning, and learning, they're going to figure out what it is that they need. So this emotional aspect, what we must teach everybody, the concept of ethical leadership also is that if somebody tells you to do a job, you are going to do it in the best way possible. So I have never taken a job without the intention of being the best in the world in that job. So if somebody gave me a program to run, my goal always is to make that program the best in the world. Now, imagine if we taught that to everybody. It doesn't matter if you are washing dishes. Wash the dishes so that you are the best in the world. That is all emotional. That has to be taught in schools. That has to be taught at home. This is what my mother taught me, you see. Because there's a story in 5th grade in my life where I was supposed to be in a school play. I was in 5th grade, and I wanted a big role. I wanted to be the prince or the king or something. But I got a small role, 2 scenes, 1 line to say. So I was crying home, and my mother said, "What are you crying about?" And I said, "I got this small role, 1 line." And she said, "Aren't there some students that didn't get any roles?" And I said, "Yeah." "Well, you got a role." So be happy about that. And then think about the play. If you don't do your role properly, will that play be successful? I said, well, that's a good statement. So she said, you must play that 1 line and the 2 scenes to the best of your abilities. So I did. And that's a huge lesson that I learned. And I said, every role is important, because otherwise the team does not succeed.
I totally agree. Our last question will come from Mr. Nikhil Chopra. Nikhil is our president for international partnership. He is my partner for the HERO business.
All right.
And so far, helping us with the One School PhD, all the way from India, Nikhil.
All right.
Good evening, Dr. Hasib. We are extremely grateful for your presence today to share talk about on cybersecurity leadership with our insurers. So being a part of HERO, as we talk to many universities, schools during the pandemic in India, Philippines, Singapore, and other countries, one of the questions that stuck to many of the institutions right now is, as they talk to many to the parents, they have many growing concerns related to their kids. So my question is connected to that. How can parents protect their kids from any attacks or being victims of these cyberbullying and other havoc online, especially now they are forced to be on a virtual classrooms? Because I believe that is a major concern for many of the parents when they are having their students going online.
Okay. So your question has multiple components. So let me first of all talk about that. That's a very complex question. And just like any answer in this realm of cybersecurity leadership, that every child situation, every parent situation is going to be different, right? So without knowing the exact situation that they're trying to, because the age of the child may make a difference, right? What technology people are using and how they're using it, all of that makes a difference. So every solution has a people, policy, and technology component. And so we need to understand all of that. Then remember that a parent's responsibility doesn't change just because the medium has changed. Just like I'm a professor, my professor role is the same whether I do it face-to-face in person or I do it online, right? So, so the same things, so the teachings of values, the teachings of good practices, and then the parent engagement in the student's life or the child's life, and the child's ability to trust the parent. No matter what happens, the child should be comfortable in telling the parents, here's what's going on and how should I address it. So in my family, for example, that was one of the biggest wonderful things that I used to enjoy, which was that dinner time was sacred. Everybody had to come home at a particular time for dinner, and we all had dinner. And during that time, I didn't know that this was what was going on, but basically we would banter, and my mom would ask, what happened? And what, is there anything troubling you? Or what, I mean, just stories, right? And then she would share her own stories and things like that. Well, that kind of trusting relationship needs to exist. So that is how she often found out some of the things that were troubling me. And then she would insert herself in the solution sometimes. Sometimes it did take her intervention to solve the situation. You see, for example, if a professor is doing inappropriate things or whatever, well, the child needs to be able to comfortably say that to the parent, right? Then there are, of course, technology tools, right? If you want to monitor where they're going and what they're doing, that is also possible. You can record sessions and actually go over that also. So all things are possible. It's just that the method of doing it is different. We also need to know who the child is mixing with, right? Who are they mixing with? Because that could influence, right? So I would say that once again, look at the specific situation, because I'm sure that a pat answer is not going to be appropriate for everybody. It is simply not possible.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Hasib. I'd like to know from our brain sharers here, because I know that most of them are leading organizations. I'd like to run a poll right now, Dr. Hasib, before I finally ask for your parting shot or final message. I'd like to know from our group, how many of you are running an organization that is knowledgeable on cybersecurity? You can say very adept, just average, or not at all. You answered my final question, actually, Dr. Hasib, when you shared about your mom, because that was amazing story in your book. You mentioned how your mom influenced you to be the best and to be the champion of whatever you do. I like that. So you said you were raised by your mother, and I like that. I really like the concept.
Yes.
There has to be somebody who really became an inspiration behind all of these successes, right? So thank you so much.
Absolutely. So this is the most amazing thing. We talk about leadership. We often don't think of our mothers or fathers or parents or older brothers and sisters as leaders. We often don't pay them that amount of respect. But guess what? The main job of a leader is to make sure that I can succeed on my own, right? And that is what mothers and fathers, the good ones, that's what they do.
Yeah, good ones, of course. Because there are
people that don't do that.
Well, I said that because I have not known my biological parents until this time. I was given away. So I've never had that. But anyway, I was raised by three spinsters who really showed me love and the way. So I agree.
Yes,
Yes.
it is very, very important. And as a matter of fact, this similar thing happened to me. My father abandoned us when I was in the 7th grade. But that was probably the best event in my life, because that's exactly what made me who I am. Because I had to start earning money in some way starting in the 7th grade. And then I had my mom's leadership to guide me, which was pretty amazing.
Yeah. Wow. We have the result of the poll right now. Very adept, 17%. Just average, 66%. Not at all, 17%. So that is the audience that we have at this time, Dr. Hasib. Your final message for everyone, please.
My final message is that embrace cybersecurity leadership, and you will basically change the game for your organization, because guess what? Not too many people are doing this. This is the same thing that I shared at the Women's Leadership Conference, because sometimes what happens is that we are so focused in succeeding within the confines that already exist that we often forget to change the game. You see, if you change the game and you create your own game, what happens? You are the only player, and you can score goal after goal after goal, and there's nobody to beat you, right? So this is the thing. Sometimes constraints are put on us, but we cannot focus on the constraints and lament, oh, why do I have all these constraints and all that? No, there's always a way. Find the solution. So focus on what you can control, right? I have 100% control over my actions, right? But I have zero control over the actions of others and the actions of executives and actions of whoever. So I could care less what they do. I take that as given, and then I focus on what I can do. This is the key lesson that my mom taught me also. See, one of the things that a lot of people don't know, my mom was denied a formal school education because of her gender. So guess what she did? She actually traded favors with her uncle, who was 4 years older, and her younger brother. She said, I will wash your clothes, I will polish your shoes, but you have to teach me whatever you learn in school. So she found a way to educate herself and learn 3 languages. And so this is the key lesson that she taught me, that never worry about the financial conditions you were in, or the father that you were born with, or the parents that you never had. Focus on, first of all, what you have and your control of your actions, and you will succeed. And that is the simple lesson I followed, you see, because at that time in 7th grade, when my parents left, my father left, my parents split up. My mother said, okay, is there some way you could earn some money? Well, I could paint, I could write poetry. So I started making cards, greetings cards. And they would sell to my brother was my first client. So he bought the card, he took it to a wedding. And at the wedding, it was a hit, because everybody, and this was 1968. So this is not Hallmark era or anything like that. So people are saying, wow, that is an amazing card, beautiful card, and a great message in poem. So where do I get it? So there started my card making business, you see? So, and then in 10th grade, I started teaching people English, because I was growing up. But one of the things my mom said is, if you want to compete in the world, you have to learn English just like any native speaker. As a matter of fact, maybe better than any native speaker. So that was one of the things that I did. I focused on learning English at that level where I could compete in the world. So these things were what helped me to come to America.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Hasib. Truly appreciate
Pleasure. Thank you.
You being part of this closing week, actually, for the month of June. and it's an honor to have met you. And I know that a lot of our participants right now are asking what can they do, if they'd like to partner with us and to have your program. I think what I can tell them right now is they keep in touch with us and we will help them, to reach out to you, and we can talk about partnerships eventually. The HERO Brainshare is a platform for partnership. We are supporting our members, our community, through partnership, research, and technology. So thank you so much, Dr. Hasib. Hasib, this is an honor, Dr. Mansur.
Thank you. It is an honor for me. Thank you for having me.
It's almost midnight your time, so we will let you go. And we would like to more or less, reach out to you again for more webinars or maybe virtual summits coming along the way.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
I'm going to give us a reflective break. Please listen to this. Thank you.
Out of the